What happens when one of history's most impactful consumer tech giants decides to blaze trails into uncharted, augmented, and virtual reality territory? Well, the Apple Vision Pro headset happens. This slick new device begs plenty of wide-eyed questions as early adopters start to experience this sci-fi-esque machine firsthand. How long was Apple secretly toiling away on their inaugural mixed reality gadget anyway? What motivated them to dive headfirst into this buzzy new computing frontier? And what exactly is mixed reality compared to VR or AR? What made Apple finally lift the curtain on the mystery product that had been stirring whispers and rumors for years? How does this shiny gadget aim to fuse both augmented and virtual environments into one smooth experience? And what about this thing has some heralding it as a preview of the computing future? On the flip side, what early flaws and glitches are arising for bleeding-edge tech that perhaps wasn't fully baked?
This is the Vision Pro, and Apple doesn't really want you to buy it.
Like, this thing refuses to let you both screen record or take video when you're in low light.
But just the other day, after taking what felt like twice the amount of time I'd typically need to finish a task, only to have Safari freeze and refuse to let me move the virtual browser windows back to where they originally were, I just had to peel off the headset and I said, I can't do this.
Can Apple stick to the landing on revolutionary tech despite first-generation criticism? How steep a learning curve will this thing have to form for both users and developers? And let's not ignore the blazing neon elephant in the room, $3,000 for this hunk of face-worn tech. What exactly justifies that heinously premium sticker price right now? Who the heck is the target demographic meant to adopt this at launch?
Starts at $34.
As you can see, the Apple Vision Pro spurs no shortage of curious discourse straight out of the gate. While not yet an iPhone-level household name, this gadget seems poised to make big waves. Let's explore the history fueling this new multimedia machine that kickstarts Apple's mixed reality journey. Believe it or not, the Apple Vision Pro mixed reality headset was released nearly a decade before officially landing in customers' hands. Where did this slick gadget originate? You must rewind to 2015 when Apple acquired an innovative German AR startup, Metaio. This acquisition mainly went unnoticed at the time, but looking back, it was one of the first breadcrumbs suggesting Apple's ambitions in the mixed reality space. Over the next couple of years, Apple quietly built an under-the-radar team to start conceptualizing what a blend between AR and VR hardware could look like. They were given liberties to experiment with form factors and features without set deadlines or concrete product plans in place yet. This early development phase operated with a thick veil of secrecy, as many experimental Apple projects tend to. However, by 2019, intriguing rumors began percolating that Apple was cooking up some mixed reality headsets behind closed doors. However, concrete details remained sparse for several more years. COVID-related delays set back certain aspects of the project timeline. Nonetheless, development continued marching forward over the next few years. Field experts and tech enthusiasts closely followed the murmurs and leaks pointing to Apple's suspected entry into this bleeding-edge category. But it wasn't until 2023 that the curtains were finally lifted. After nearly a decade of imagining, iterating, and engineering behind the curtain, Apple officially unveiled the Vision Pro in June 2023 at their famous Worldwide Developers Conference. This venue has hosted many iconic product unveilings over the years, making it fitting that Vision Pro created such palpable waves upon announcement. Apple started accepting pre-orders in January 2024, building feverish anticipation leading to launch day on February 2, 2024. And with that, the Apple Vision Pro was out in the wild at long last. Astonishingly, this product was over 7 years in the ideating phase before customers could buy one, right? It shows that Apple plays the long game when it senses golden opportunities on the horizon. We're discussing a company boasting some of Earth's most talented designers and engineers. The Vision Pro is Apple's foray into mixed reality, fusing virtual and augmented reality concepts into one ambitious device. And there's little doubt this gadget represents some wildly innovative feats of engineering and manufacturing. So, in summary, the origins of the Apple Vision Pro have been around for over half a decade before coming to fruition. Now that you know a bit about the history, let's dig into what exactly this hardware can do.
I actually
love this thing. I love this thing. Not because it's flawless or anything. It is far from flawless.
Why people are so excited about the future and where things could still improve. But first, what the heck is mixed reality anyway? And what does the Vision Pro do differently than things we've seen thus far? Let's dig into what makes this headset unique. The Apple Vision Pro overflows with trailblazing components, enabling some futuristic functionality. We'll try breaking it down piece by piece so it's digestible. First things first. The actual headset glasses part rocks dual cutting-edge micro OLED displays, one for each of your eyeballs. These sound startlingly sharp, and vibrant visuals are silky smooth at 90 frames per second. And the displays can even rev up to 96 or 100 frames per second for certain content when needed. Wild, huh? Now for audio. They are impressively rich, built-in spatial audio pods that can make sounds feel like they're coming at you from different directions. So, with the 3D visuals plus surround sound, it's easy to immerse entirely into whatever world the Vision Pro conjures up. Okay, let's move on to the truly groundbreaking stuff, the inputs. No controllers are required here, folks. The Vision Pro tracks your eyes, hands, and voice to control everything. It uses various externally mounted cameras plus sensors to detect precisely where you're looking, what gestures you're making with your fingers, and what you're saying. So the device responds to completely natural movements and commands. How insane is that? This allows you to navigate menus, launch apps intuitively, move objects around in 3D space, and really anything you can imagine just using natural eyes, hands, and voice as inputs. Honestly, it's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. No buttons, toggles, or touchscreens are needed. Now, what's actually powering this beast? The brains include Apple's blazing fast new M2 chip, similar to what runs their latest MacBooks and iPads, and a custom supplementary chip called the R1. The R1 is dedicated to processing input from all those wacky cameras, sensors, and mics at insane speeds for minimal latency.
This specialized chip was designed specifically for the challenging task of real-time sensor processing. It processes input from 12 cameras, 5 sensors, and 6 microphones. In other head-worn systems, latency between sensors and displays can contribute to motion discomfort. R1 virtually eliminates lag, streaming new images to the displays within 12 milliseconds. That's 8 times faster than the blink of an eye.
Additionally, you've got up to a massive 1 terabyte of onboard storage for apps, movies, games, you name it. That's some severe local space that goes toe-to-toe with high-end laptops. And of course, we can't forget that bonkers outward-facing display. Dubbed EyeSight, it actually displays a rendered version of the user's eyes to onlookers, so people in the room can understand if you're engaged or immersed in something. Strange, right? But it's pretty functional. Phew, that's just grazing the surface. The Apple Vision Pro is overflowing with envelope-pushing hardware, enabling futuristic functionality. What sort of mind-bending applications can you envision with gear packing these kinds of leading-edge capabilities? The possibilities seem endless. But hardware's only half the equation. What about the software bringing it all together? Let's explore the slick Vision OS operating system that aims to redefine personal computing interfaces as we know them. At its core, Vision OS takes the familiar iOS platform we know from iPhones and iPads and evolves it into a cutting-edge spatial computing interface tailored for mixed reality environments. It leverages existing Apple frameworks like UIKit and SwiftUI and introduces fresh proprietary APIs for optimized 3D graphics and physics, foveated rendering, real-time spatial interaction, and more. These are features specifically designed to leverage the Vision Pro's advanced eye and hand tracking capabilities. So when you first boot up Vision OS, rather than a flat grid of apps like on an iPhone, you see 3D system menus and icons floating in midair. However, it's still intuitive for Apple users with things like clean typography, colorful minimalist icons, translucent backgrounds, etc. You navigate these spatial UI elements by simply looking around and subtly pinching your fingers. No joysticks, buttons, or anything required, just your eyes and hands. This makes casually flipping through apps or browsing the web incredibly futuristic. Vision OS was built from the ground up to enable multi-window environments. You can pull up a whole workspace worth of screens, like Research in Safari, while reference notes, charts, and docs are pinned around you. Then stream music off to the side, and have a live sports game going too. It takes multitasking to the farthest degree imaginable. However, the most impressive thing is how Vision OS can mesh virtual elements into your surroundings for unique mixed reality use cases. You can leverage real-time room scanning and sensing to composite interactive 3D objects into your environment.
Check it out. This one just took off from Oakland going to San Diego, and this one is coming into San Francisco from Payne Field in Washington. I've been having a lot of fun with the Voyager app on Vision Pro, where you watch and interact with 3D aircraft on their flight paths as they depart and land from the airport of your choosing.
This takes interior design, data visualization, gaming, and more onto another plane. And we've barely scratched the surface of the software capabilities fueling this remarkable headset. In short, Vision OS provides the intuitive, spatially aware operating system that acts as the lifeblood of Vision Pro hardware, enabling such groundbreaking functionality. Now that we've covered what's under the hood, we should chat about some key highlights that excite us about integrating this device into our daily lives. At over $3,500, the Vision Pro is undoubtedly no impulse buy. But there is little doubt this could take entertainment, communication, productivity, and more to extraordinary levels. The visuals and audio this thing can produce are jaw-dropping for entertainment. Watching movies and videos feels incredibly immersive on the expansive 3D display with spatial sound. Certain content formatted for the Vision Pro wraps around you in a 180-degree view for next-level immersion. It really looks and feels like you're inside the video. Super wild. Gaming also gets a substantial glow-up thanks to the graphics and ability to interact using hand-finger tracking instead of controllers. While the gaming catalog might be somewhat limited early on, playing familiar iOS titles in this futuristic format breathes new life into the experience. There's much untapped potential here for developers to crank out mind-blowing games. Augmented reality capabilities also shouldn't be overlooked. The Vision Pro lenses allow digital elements to be overlaid into your surroundings with a real-time view of the room. This takes activities like interior design, architecture, education, and retail onto another plane. Imagine walking through a virtual dream home, learning about distant planets up close, or trying on digital clothing. It stretches the imagination in extraordinary ways. Now let's talk about productivity. The Vision Pro allows you to access a whole workspace with virtual displays. You can pull up multiple apps, documents, and even your Mac or PC screen floating in adjustable windows around your environment. It takes multitasking to the farthest degree imaginable. There is no need for extra monitors. Just toss up as many screens as you want and arrange them in space as desired. You can also harness the AR functionality to spice up boring office work. If you want to mock up a product prototype or conceptualize an architectural project, just summon the 3D model into the room. The creative applications are endless. It could be a game-changing portable productivity powerhouse. And we'd be remiss not to mention how this might transform communication. Thanks to the wacky digital avatar system, you can video chat with friends and colleagues while wearing the Vision Pro. This persona feature projects a 3D animated version of you into the call using the headset's cameras. It takes a bit of getting used to, but being able to share your VR/AR experience visually opens up some pretty crazy doors. There's little doubt that bleeding-edge gizmos like a Vision Pro initially seemed frivolous, but most revolutionary technologies started that way before fundamentally shifting how we interface with information and each other. This thing packs functionality that wasn't possible just a few years ago. That alone is pretty remarkable. While the practical implications remain largely untapped, we think this headset could usher in a new era for how we work and play on personal devices. Now, hold your horses for a minute. Before mortgaging the house to fund a virtual reality habit powered by the Vision Pro, let's address the elephant in the room. This thing does have some substantial drawbacks. At the top of the list is that lofty price tag exceeding $3,000. There's no denying that this is a costly gadget, especially for first-generation hardware. It's essentially double or triple the cost of things like iPhones or top-end iPads. Only die-hard Apple fans with cash to burn realistically consider this a justifiable purchase at current pricing. And it's not just the upfront cost. You'll have to fork over more dough for crucial accessories too. Things like prescription lens inserts, battery packs, and protective cases could all require additional purchases. So this is a premium investment that fully commits to the ecosystem. It's also bulbous, heavy, and unlikely to be described as stylish when strapped to someone's skull. Style is objective, of course, but objectively speaking, this thing looks awkward and cumbersome, judging by early hands-on footage and reactions. Expect to feel a little ridiculous wearing it, and potentially expect some giggles or distasteful glances out in public. Comfort is another question mark that ties back to the beefy design. At around 1.3 to 1.4 pounds, this is a lot of weight on your face or cheeks for extended durations. People are bound to experience discomfort or irritation during long sessions, especially those sensitive to headaches or neck strain. Frequent movement breaks would be essential. Battery life is decidedly mediocre according to specs. Apple estimates only 2 to 2.5 hours of general use on a full charge. That means you'll be tethered to a charging cable a lot to keep things powered up. And the battery pack itself connects to an odd proprietary magnetic cord that looks clumsy and prone to disconnecting accidentally. There are also the semi-unavoidable side effects of virtual reality gaming or videos, namely nausea, dizziness, and general disorientation when wearing a headset for too long. These devices can sometimes wreak havoc on equilibrium and cause motion sickness for those susceptible. It may exclude folks prone to vertigo or migraines, for example. And perhaps most terrifying, you risk utter embarrassment or injury by blocking out your actual surroundings. Chances are high that early adopters will walk into walls, trip down stairs, spill food or drinks, or completely ignore friends and family while wearing this thing. It encourages being dangerously detached from reality for potentially unhealthy periods. There are also some concerns about screen addiction and diminishing social skills. Are people going to lose themselves in virtual worlds and abandon in-person connections? That may seem dramatic, but it's hard to deny these devices promote antisocial tendencies on some level. Moderation and self-control is the key. We'd feel remiss ending this section without at least flagging privacy issues and cybersecurity vulnerabilities that could develop. We know how lax big tech can be handling user data. When you've got cameras and sensors tracking retina movements, individual fingerprints, facial geometry, that's susceptible data we're entrusting companies with. It's fair to feel squeamish about the long-term implications and handling. So, in summary, the Vision Pro sounds incredibly futuristic and full of sci-fi wonder on paper. But in these early stages, risks are tied to diving headfirst beyond heavy sticker shock. As early adopters, we must be cautious and keep expectations realistic, understanding shortcomings tied to Gen 1 hardware. Hopefully, Apple will swiftly address flaws in future iterations, envisioning the Vision Pro's potential. As we just discussed, scoffing at the Vision Pro's steep $3,500 price tag is tempting, and honestly, most of us can't realistically drop that kind of dough on a headset, no matter how flashy. But having tested this thing out, I believe it might be the most groundbreaking Apple gadget since the OG iPhone. Seriously, the sheer innovation powering this machine is insane. From the crystal-clear micro OLED displays and true-to-life video pass-through to the remarkably intuitive hand-eye tracking interface, the Vision Pro radiates that legendary Apple wizardry. And the spatial computing factor takes multitasking into wild new terrain, especially paired with a Mac. Has any headset ever delivered 3D video realism on this level before? Watching immersive video content feels like a game changer from everything from movies to sports. And don't those moving spatial photos or videos that turn memories 3D awaken your nostalgia magically? The app ecosystem remains a work in progress without some heavy hitters at launch. But don't those early AR apps showcase jaw-dropping potential? We're hoping this inspires more developers to push boundaries on this machine. All right. What's not to like here? No doubt the mega price tag severely limits initial appeal. Many will probably wait for the rumored low-cost version coming down the pike. But with no firm timeline, how patient can early adopters be? Our bottom line is that the Vision Pro is undeniably revolutionary, but very much mid-revolution, like most radical Apple releases. Still, taking a long view, doesn't this feel like an Apple product ahead of its time that will eventually change how we interact? This reality remixing machine could outline a new computing paradigm once the tech and apps catch up to the boundless potential. Think back to how the iPhone expanded phones from simple calling to pocket computers, how the Apple Watch made health tracking mainstream, and how AirPods popularized wireless audio. All seemed niche or overpriced at first, but ultimately realigning technology and culture. While only time will tell, we can't shake the feeling that the Vision Pro kickstarts a similar transformation. where spatial computing, 3D immersion, and augmented reality will eventually go big. Given all the game-changing features the Vision Pro boasts on paper, we want to end our exploration by setting proper expectations about risk factors when buying first-generation hardware. Many early users who have used the headsets report notable performance hiccups and stability issues. This is relatively common with Apple's first take on breakthrough devices. Over the years, we've seen repeatedly that Gen 1 Apple products often still have kinks to iron out despite ambitious visions. Glitchy software, hardware defects, connectivity problems, and unpolished elements are par for the course when trying to radically advance gadgets in these embryonic phases. The iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, and AirPods initially suffered from rocky stability and missing functions compared to later models. Remember your holding it wrong antenna gate debacles? Early adopters pay to be open beta testers, discovering shortcomings manufacturers then address down the road. By all accounts thus far, the Vision Pro also fits this mold in the first batches. Users occasionally report frustrating software clashes, fickle hand-tracking responsiveness, battery charging issues, and more displeasing bugs. Anticipated, but it warrants setting proper buyer expectations out of the gate. We also can't ignore the high probability of future hardware revisions, right? Whether a Vision Pro S with upgraded chipsets or the mythical Apple glasses we hear whispers about, there will be better, smaller, faster models that may quickly make these feel archaic. That end-of-life creep is a lingering drawback of buying a pricey day-one gadget. You might want to earn the maximum lifespan from something quite expensive, but future-proofing is extremely difficult, with electronics evolving exponentially year over year now. Bleeding-edge tech adventurers understand the deal of making early purchases. We get to marvel at a sneak peek of the future, but product maturity and stability come later. The Vision Pro looks incredible on paper, but until the wrinkles are ironed out, buyers should brace for potential letdowns or buyer's remorse. But that comes with the territory of being an early adopter. We applaud Apple for its ambitious push into uncharted territory despite inevitable growing pains. Hopefully, constructive criticism will allow Vision Pro and its successors to blossom into more mainstream mixed reality excellence sooner rather than later. So let us know your thoughts about Apple's first swing into spatial computing below. And don't forget to smash those like and subscribe buttons to stay looped in as we review more cutting-edge tech on the channel.